Okay, let's dive into a really fascinating story. We're talking about Harlow Beauty, a salon that basically built a $1 million empire only to have it all threatened like overnight by one person walking out the door. This is a wild case study in how to adapt, how to use technology, and what it really takes to build a business that can actually last. So to get a sense of just how high the stakes were, you gotta understand their success. By 2022, Harlow Beauty was pulling in over $1.3 million a year. I mean, we're not talking about your average neighborhood spot here. This was a major player, the kind of business that most entrepreneurs only dream of building. And then, boom, the floor just drops out from under them. A top stylist, someone who was a huge driver of their revenue, just quits. For any service business, this is the absolute nightmare scenario, right? It instantly puts all that success, everything they'd built, in serious jeopardy. So let's start with section 1, a $1 million problem. Because this wasn't just about losing a great employee, it was about protecting the very heart of the business. Okay, so let's look at how this all went down. In 2022, the owner, Misty, she does the unthinkable. She actually achieves the dream of stepping away from working in the business so she can work on it. But then 2023 hits, the stylist leaves, and revenue takes a nosedive. By 2024, they're fighting their way back with a whole new strategy, only to get completely blindsided by an even bigger threat in 2025. And that new threat? Well, it was a massive shift in how customers find businesses in the first place. Which brings us to our next section, when search changed forever. The entire game was changing right under their feet. You see, the old playbook, relying on standard SEO, word of mouth, it was suddenly obsolete. We're now in a new era, one that's totally dominated by AI. Things like Google's AI overviews and ChatGPT are now how clients find salons. All those old-school methods just weren't cutting it anymore. So, facing a crisis from the inside and this huge shift on the outside, Harlow knew they had to do something different, and that led them to a brand new philosophy, replacing people with systems. And this new way of thinking was captured perfectly by Michelle Matkovich, the founder of the system Harlow ended up using. Her insight here is so simple, but it's also profound. The goal wasn't to scramble and find another person to fill that empty chair. The goal was to build a machine that could bring in revenue consistently, no matter who was on the team. This is what we call a systems-first approach. It's all about building automated, rock-solid processes for the most important parts of your business. You know, finding new clients and getting them booked. That way, your business isn't so fragile and dependent on any single person. But hey, adopting a new philosophy is one thing. Actually committing to it when the pressure is on, that's something else entirely. And this brings us to Harlow's critical mid-game pivot. So their new strategy kicked off in 2024. They started investing just under $1,000 a month. And get this, it brought in over 330 new leads. A huge win, right? But as AI search kept changing in 2025, they realized just maintaining wasn't going to be enough. So they made a really bold call. They upped their investment by more than 50% to stay ahead of the curve. Now here's the really wild part. Even after increasing their spending, Harlow was still spending less than 1.5% of their annual revenue on marketing. The industry average? It's somewhere between 3 and 5%. So this wasn't just about spending more money, it was about spending it with incredible efficiency. This quote really just hits the nail on the head. It's about a total mindset shift. You can't say you want high-value clients if you're not willing to invest in a high-value system to actually go out and find them. You have to align your investment with your ambition. So, the big question, did this bold systems-first pivot actually pay off? Well, that takes us to the results. Section 5, profit protected. I mean, the numbers really speak for themselves here. By the end of 2025, Harlow was on track to clear over $1.35 million. That's not just bouncing back from the dip, that is 4% growth year over year, even with all the market chaos and AI disruption. I remember that initial investment they made. Just from the leads they got through their website form, it generated a staggering 410% return on marketing investment. Let that sink in. This system wasn't an expense, it was a powerful profit engine. So what was this magic system? Well, it wasn't magic. It was comprehensive. It had a 24/7 AI receptionist so they'd never miss a lead, an advanced SEO system built for this new world of AI search, and a CRM that just tied everything together with automation from start to finish. And this quote from the owner, Misty, really brings it all home. Because at the end of the day, it was never just about the money. It was about building a business that gave her freedom, not one that trapped her. The system filled the calendar without her having to be chained to the front desk. And that right there, that was the real victory. In a crisis that would have forced most owners to jump back into the daily grind, Misty was able to stay focused on the big picture because the systems were doing all the heavy lifting. This just says it all, doesn't it? The story of Harlow Beauty isn't about working harder and burning out. It's about using technology and smart strategy to scale smarter. And that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about for any business, really. Is your success totally dependent on a few key people? Or have you built strong systems that can help you thrive no matter what surprises come your way?